دائما الشمس
Very nice.
Encore.
He's got a love for Darwish and a love for music and a talent as well. Let's give him another. He's actually supposed to go a little early, so he overstayed. So we really have to thank you, Muhammad. That was beautiful.
Thank you for everyone.
Okay, next we have Rami Kanazi, Poets for Palestine. As you can see, their tables here. And following him, we'll have another student. And if Dr. Kram Mahmoud, if you're here, can you see me at the side? Okay, let's give him a round of applause.
I'm gonna come down to you guys. No chair, I just spoke the word. I want to thank Rutgers for having me tonight. I have a couple unfortunate stories about Mahmoud Darwish. The book I've been working on for the last 2 years, Poets for Palestine, actually launched the day before Mahmoud Darwish passed away. It was in Chicago at the Palestine Conference. And we all got the news. And Mahmoud Darwish's poem, Who Am I Without Exile, actually leads off Poets for Palestine. And I was lucky enough to get his poetry by a great translator, Fadi Judah, who's also a poet in the book, but a translator. And he was putting together a book called The Butterfly's Burden. And he ended up giving me a few pieces. Just to give you a little background on Poets for Palestine, basically it's a collection of poetry, spoken word, hip hop, and art. And there's a lot of different poets featured in the book, from Mahmoud Darwish and Sue Ahmed and Naim Shahadnai to African American poets like Amiri Baraka, Patricia Smith, Asian American poet Junichi P. Sumitsu. And basically what I tried to do was, my brother's over there at the table, to make a book that my brother could enjoy, but also something my mom could enjoy. So I did the book with a nonprofit organization called the Register Group. It's the same group that helped bring Maine Palestine to New York City. And all the proceeds of the book are going to go to fund future cultural exhibits in the U.S. that highlight Arab artistry. But I'm going to start my performance on a lighter note. It's called Palestinian Identity, my first poem. I grew up in Western Massachusetts, and there were more white people in here before, but I grew up around a lot of white Irish Catholic kids, and I don't mean that in a bad way. But I had to write a poem for them when I grew up about my experience being the Palestinian kid in Western Mass. So this is called Palestinian Identity. I was born overseas, a refugee, with little knowledge of myself or my ancestry. Growing up in American society, you conform to the mentality. I watched MTV, envied actors and people who drove Mercedes. I didn't listen to Public Enemy or read Edward Said, comprehend the need for autonomy. I was a dark kid trying to be a white kid acting like a black kid in my middle class economy. But my mom didn't speak this language perfectly, and I was reminded with certainty. My name wasn't Ali or Punjabi MC, not Khalid, Rashid, or anyone from Aladdin's family. I was just me. But who was me, I asked the question quietly. As my relatives suffered unjustly, fighting oppression in Mideast countries, what is Palestinian identity? What was preventing me from seeing what others pointed out so easily? It's scary not having autonomy. The only one with a permanent tan on the baseball team, but it's funny being seen. I know, I look like that terrorist in that movie. Yeah, the biggest nose in 3 counties, but I think I figured it out eventually. I'm a Palestinian American, standing proudly with one foot on democracy and the other seeking autonomy, while the media tries to rewrite my people's history. I'll always be me, with my roots planted firmly, American with Palestinian ancestry, planting seeds for hybrid ideology in lands of productivity. You see, these schemes aren't just a dream. It's what I say, know, and mean. And one day the truth will be seen, with transparency. So I step forward, a part of the team, the true essence of what I believe to be American-Palestinian identity. So, do I need a mic? No. I have some angry pieces coming up, so it's better without a mic. You know, I always say that not only am I a Palestinian, but I'm a progressive. And it's that kind of interconnectedness of struggle that will really help drive us forward. And it's what's so great about the new major in the tenure program is that you're taking different sectors of the world, many in the Eastern world, and putting them together. And you know, I grew up in Western Mass, but as much as I love Mahmoud Darwish, I grew up on hip hop. So it was listening to hip hop that kind of made me understand a lot of different struggles, whether you know it's a ghetto on the West Coast or in the West Bank. So this next poem is it's called Collateral Damage, and it kind of deals with those issues. Why is it when a U.S. soldier dies in battle, he's considered a hero? And when a Muslim man dies in battle, he's automatically considered a terrorist? As patriotism penetrates the post-9/11 mind, educating us on a kind of ultra-evil that's out there to kill us for shopping malls and uncovered women, we forget our actions that our masses are reaction to the 19 men that killed our civilians 6 years ago. Because we're still living out ground zeros every time another Iraqi dies. Every time this nation gets another dollar to fund any occupation, we forget that human is human, because burnt flesh like phosphorus doesn't affect us at the office or our deaf poetry tapings. The raving of other nations doesn't hit home like empty skies in lower Manhattan. It's easier to say us versus them, good versus evil. It makes us believe we're better people, that we don't hold accountability for the hypocrisy of our foreign policy. But you can't tell that to the hundreds of thousands of dead in Iraq, the limitless kids in refugee camps in Gaza, the widowed and fatherless in Kandahar, the cluster bomb in South Lebanon. You can't tell that to Nicaraguans, Guatemalans, and Chileans, the Congolese, Vietnamese, or South Africans. We've been on the wrong side so many times that democracy morphs into hegemony. Providing for some of your own while stripping others down to the bone may be Darwinian, but you can't slaughter other people's civilians and call it collateral damage. I'm going to do a couple more pieces. We have Poets for Palestine over on the side. We sell it for $20 online, here for $15, but I was in college once. So we're also doing I'm Broken in College $10 discounts. We actually had the Poets for Palestine launch party last week, and so this is my first show since, and I'm going to be doing a bunch of shows on the East Coast and then on the West Coast. So I'm excited to be here. I did a show back in the day. I can still in the studio time. So it's great to be here, and it was great to see that PowerPoint presentation on the slideshow and kids getting involved. Because, I mean, it starts with us, whether it's your SJP or your Arab organization, Arab Student Club. We are the next generation. We are that voice. You know, my parents are immigrants. They were kicked out. My grandparents were kicked out in '48. My grandmother was 7 months pregnant with my mother. I talk about it in my intro. And, you know, they come to the States and they don't really know how to deal with it. And it's our voice that's really going to carry within the Arab and the Palestinian community and outward and also within the mainstream community. So thank you guys for coming, for putting this together, for getting involved. It really does make a difference. So the next poem I'm going to do is called What Are You? I'm proud to be a Palestinian, but not for reasons that make me believe in jingoistic ideals of patriotism. I don't sign my life away for the birth of a nation, but for the justification of indigenous people to live, free to decide what to make of their lives. Palestine is South Africa, Rwanda, Iraq, the Armenian genocide, and yes, the Holocaust. Because if I lose sight of Jewish suffering, then I become nothing but a reflection of the Israeli state, a propagandist, driven on hate of the other, placated by ideologies of exclusivity. I don't just love the colors of some flag, or even the olive trees in the old city. I love what Palestine makes me feel: anger, pain, and sadness, hope, and perseverance. I love that I wake up every morning knowing that I'm a writer, poet, and dreamer, and watered down versions of what society and respectability should be won't change my mentality, because it's not a society I want to be a part of. I'm a Palestinian. Nobody can take that away from me. Not identity cards or refugee status or security apparatuses restricting my movement, and I'll come back stronger than any Zionist entity. But not for ethnocentric liberty, but for peace based on equality. I'm a Palestinian. What are you? I guess they're all political.